We are coming to you live from our parliamentary studios in Cape Town. Good morning and welcome to A View from the House. I'm Kokeli Tanda. We continue our coverage of various budget vote debates in extended public committees of the National Assembly. Today we look at the debates on agriculture, forestry and fisheries, as well as the budget vote of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. We begin with the budget vote on the budget of the agriculture, forestry and fisheries. The Minister, Tina Joemat-Petterson, devoted her speech to working together for food security. She said the draft food security policy and zero hunger strategy prioritized the eradication of poverty and reduction of inequality. Mrs. Joemat-Petterson said the goal of a developmental state could only be reached when people gained access to food within an economy that promoted sustainable livelihoods.
The right to food, as enshrined in our Constitution and the Freedom Charter, demands a rethinking of our past approaches to food security. We can produce enough food, but whether the poor can afford the food on the shelves largely determines South Africa's food security status as a country. High food prices, food price volatility, and food price hikes will be the largest challenge to our nation over the next few years. This will further be exacerbated by high fuel and high energy prices. To curb these challenges, smallholder farmers will be assisted with the provision of livestock, tractors, implements, seeds and fertilizers. One family, one vegetable garden should be the mantra of each and every family here today and in South Africa. If you haven't planted your garden, please go home with your trees and plant your garden today. We'll be giving you the first 3.
Minister Joemat-Petterson said food processing had demonstrated growth of over 25,000 agricultural jobs in the sector for the third quarter of 2011. A further 6,000 agriculture-related jobs were created in the fourth quarter of 2011, which is a year-on-year growth of 3%. This had brought the total employment in the sector to 630,000.
This is definitely a reflection of confidence in our sector, since job growth should be measured within the context of a sector which has been shedding jobs since the 1970s. Now, what we need to say very carefully is that the tide is turning in agriculture for the better. We are creating jobs and we are expanding our markets. These are not our statistics. They are statistics of Stats SA, and I welcome you to go into the website of Stats SA to show that the tide is turning. When you get up today, please tell me how many jobs you have created.
Minister Joemat-Petterson said South Africa's trade of both primary and processed agricultural products had grown from 10 billion rand exports in 1996 to about 48 billion rand in 2011. Wine exports were soaring notwithstanding the recent global economic slowdown. South Africa was now exporting 3 times more wine than it did a decade ago. Exports of fish and fish products had rapidly expanded in China and Cameroon. Timber and forestry products were gaining ground in China and Indonesia. South Africa was also exporting more and more maize to Zimbabwe.
Our export markets have undergone structural changes from 2001 to 2011, with new destinations in Asia, the Middle East, North America, and our exports to South Korea have increased from 2 to 3%. China increased from 1 to 3%, and the United Arab Emirates from 1 to 3% of our agri-food export basketry. Exports to Zimbabwe have increased from 2 to 8%, and to Mexico, we had a 0 export to Mexico. We now have a 5% export percentage to Mexico. Despite our success story as a country, which is a net exporter of food, international trade has yet to include more black farmers in the equation. The branch Economic Development, Trade and Marketing is allocated 200 million to support international trade, marketing, agro-processing, and cooperative development. Our department is positioning itself to participate in a meaningful way in Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, or BRICS partnership. The department will open offices in Russia, India, and Brazil, in addition to the one which is already operating in China.
Turning to the restructuring of the former branch of Marine and Coastal Management, the minister said the restructuring corresponded with international trends which recognize fisheries as an economic activity rather than a purely environmental or biodiversity matter. Government had also expanded the mandate for fisheries management through the inclusion of freshwater and inland fisheries, as well as aquaculture, to its existing responsibilities. The small-scale fisheries policy will be finalized and implemented this year. The minister also announced that the Special Investigating Unit will be requested to look into allegations of maladministration within the fisheries branch.
The policy seeks to address imbalances of the past and to ensure that small-scale fishes are accommodated and properly managed. For the first time, fishing rights will be allocated on a group rather than on an individual basis. The department has entered into a service level agreement with the South African Navy to manage our fleet of 4 patrol vessels and 3 research vessels for a period of 1 year, while we consider our various options regarding the long-term management of these vessels. Regrettably, following extensive allegations of maladministration in the Fisheries Department, and after extensive consultations with the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development and the Presidency, we will be requesting the Special Investigations Unit to look into all tenders awarded by the branch. I repeat, all tenders and not just a specific tender. This will be as a preparatory step to the Committee of Inquiry, which I have previously announced.
The chairperson of the Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, Mr. Lulu Johnson, highlighted the plight of smallholder farmers. He said smallholder agriculture covered an estimated 14 million hectares of agricultural land and involved up to 350 predominantly black farmers. It's concentrated in former homeland areas. Mr. Johnson said these farmers were marginalized with little or no infrastructural support.
The smallholder farmers generally have low levels of productive efficiency, and their productive inefficiency is linked primarily to poor farmer management skills, e.g. natural resource management, production and infrastructural management. This is exacerbated by poor and unconditional, uncoordinated support services directed at smallholder farmers. Among others, financial services, technical support, access to transport and other support infrastructure. The nature of existing value chains and value chain governance locks small farmers out of the markets. There is poor coordination among small farmers in accessing services, which is exacerbated by input and output markets. In general, there is insufficient information and data regarding smallholder farmers. Hence, a need for a coordinated research and data information and call center.
Mr. Johnson called on government to reposition the land bank so that smallholder farmers could get access to it.
Let it be the last financial year that land bank is detached from where it belongs, that is agriculture. Yes. Also, as legislatures, we have a duty to make land bank be a smallholder's first lender of choice that is accessible and affordable. A debate as to whether we are a developmental state is behind us. And as such, without a lender of first choice called land bank, South Africa in its dreams of growing smallholder farmers and the transformation of agriculture will remain a pipe dream. Yes. Lastly, after all said and done, extension services makes or break any ambition of any smallholder. I repeat, after all said and done, an extension service makes or breaks any ambition of any smallholder farmer. Our state of extension services in South Africa, by and large, leaves a lot to be desired with. Through collaborative exercise between all the agriculture, forestry and fisheries training institutions, both within the said sectors and other provinces and at national level, strengthening of extension services must be treated with an emergency.
The DA Shadow Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, Ms. Annette Steyn, said uncertainty on a number of issues was putting food security at risk.
Factors such as weather conditions, commodity prices, input costs, stock levels, consumption demand, as well as exchange rates, will continue to influence agricultural production in the country. It is becoming more and more difficult to manage farm costs due to rising prices of input costs like electricity and water tariffs. It is therefore important to ensure regulatory certainty for people to make informed choices. The uncertainty regarding the land reform program and safety and security in rural areas plays a critical role in farmers deciding to leave South Africa to farm elsewhere in Africa. Minister, South Africa is built on the back of this position. And the Democratic Alliance recognizes the policy shift of the department to put more emphasis on job creation, the development of smallholder producers, and the implementation of the Zero Hunger program. But with a total budget for agriculture of only 5.8 billion, or 0.6% of the total budget, we cannot afford to lose focus of the role of the department, and we should debate the extent to which the state should be directly involved in economic activity.
Ms. Steyn raised her concern about the impact of animal diseases, which she said was costing the country billions of rands.
A possible reason for these outbreaks could be the fragmented way in which the department deals with animal health. I've asked the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee to call an urgent meeting with all role players to find a solution to this situation. Chairperson, it's also not assuring to read in the annual report of the South African Veterinary Council, and I quote, "Another year has passed in which the Council has failed to secure a meeting with its minister. It therefore could not advise the minister on matters affecting the veterinary and para-veterinary professions. The people and animals they serve. I've later learned that they've met with the deputy minister, but it is a concern that for 3 years they haven't met with the minister. Maybe I'm wrong, but that was my information."
We have more on the Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries budget vote debate after the break. Stay with us.